Nick Diaz makes his return against Robbie Lawler this weekend. They run it back. UFC 266 featured bout. We got 5 rounds. They moved it up to middleweight this week per request of the Nick Diaz camp. I guess he didn't want to do that weight cut, and can we really blame him? I don't think it matters. I want to see these two fight. I'm not too concerned about the weight. I think that it's fine for either guy, really. Both are pretty similar in size. Robbie Lawler a bit more muscle mass. Diaz a bit taller and longer. I like this matchup a lot. I liked it years ago, and I can't wait to see it again. You look back in that first fight, it was straight fireworks. Robbie Lawler was definitely a lot more wild and overly aggressive back then. Nick Diaz definitely wasn't as polished either, but we definitely saw glimpses of both guys' future successes in that fight because both put on a good performance. Diaz got the better of him, knocked him out in the second round, unconscious. He was out, good stoppage by the referee, Steve Mazzagatti, who's probably the pound for pound worst ref of all time, but it was a good stoppage by him. Looking at this fight, though, years have passed since Nick Diaz last fought. 6.5. The first fight between these two, 17 years ago. It's insane. A lot of time has gone by, and both have gone on to do different things in the sport. For Robbie Lawler, fought recently a year ago, it was a loss to Neil Magny. He just can't really turn it on much anymore. There's definitely signs of him getting older out there. He's not as explosive, doesn't move as fast. Granted, it's good. He gets matched up versus Nick Diaz, who definitely isn't the fastest guy in the fight game. He's got a lot of volume, a lot of forward pressure, and he's known for taking a good punch. The last thing that goes is power. If Robbie lands a clean enough punch on the chin of Nick Diaz, I don't care how good the chin is of Diaz, he'll go down. Do I think that's likely, though? Southpaw versus Southpaw, which I think favors Diaz. I think he's comfortable fighting Southpaws. He's got his little brother, Nate, who he spars with on the regular. How many Southpaws is Robbie sparring with? Well, I bet a fair amount. He's at Sanford MMA. This guy transitioned to one of the best teams in the game. Unfortunately, hasn't had, the greatest of results lately, but I think could definitely show improvements. How good is Nick Diaz now? I mean, look at the last three. Silva, decision loss over 5 rounds, overturned to a no contest, but still a loss in the cage nonetheless. George St. Pierre loss in a fight that Diaz had moments, but he clearly lost to GSP. Carlos Condit fight, loss, close decision. Was it 100% on Nick Diaz, the way Condit fight? No, but he couldn't stop the constant movement. Granted, it wasn't a real scrap. It was Carlos Condit doing a lot of running, Diaz chasing and not landing enough effective strikes, losing a decision there as well in a fight that, whatever. A lot of people felt a whole bunch of different ways about that. Robbie Lawler, he won the belt against Hendricks controversially, but he did defend the belt twice, which I guess makes up for that controversial win. Loses it badly to Woodley, though. And now they face off again after years have gone by. Diaz was a Strikeforce champion, which is definitely a notable factor. He lost for the UFC belt, but he still held a major title, especially at that time. I think Strikeforce had some really elite level welterweights. Robbie Lawler didn't have the most success when he was in Strikeforce. He totally revamped his career when he transitioned back over to the UFC. I feel like in this fight, what we're going to see, Nick Diaz with a lot of forward pressure, chasing Robbie Lawler down, trying to bully Robbie. Robbie will have to meet him in the center and land something of value, hurting Nick, or at least making him think a bit more about closing the distance. If he doesn't, could be trouble. Because I think that there's going to be a lot of peppering shots, but also he's going to dig. Nick Diaz is going to dig body shots, potentially gassing Robbie out. In the clinch, I think Robbie's stronger. I feel like he'll have the advantage in clinch situations on the ground. Diaz's jiu-jitsu is good, and it's going to be tricky for Robbie Lawler if it potentially gets there. I do think we're seeing mostly striking, lots of canceling out of the grappling here. And if we do see some jiu-jitsu, I'd favor Nick Diaz for submission attempts from the bottom. Don't know if he'll be able to close on them. It's not like Robbie Lawler is a guy that gets tapped. It's just not something that happens. His top game is very good. Nick Diaz and him will go at it striking, majority, but there will be ground moments. A lot of forward pressure. I think Robbie lands some good strikes throughout the first 2 to 3 rounds, as does Nick, with a lot of volume. I think Robbie starts to wilt around the third, pressing towards the fourth. In the fourth round, I think Diaz really starts to put it on him. I think he hurts him with potentially a right hand and then a right jab followed by the left straight. And I think he might stun Robbie Lawler, put on a ton of volume, potentially even get a standing TKO, but I could see that TKO in the fourth for Nick Diaz over Robbie. I think he gets the W here. I think he bounces back with a vengeance. I don't feel like Nick Diaz comes back to lose. I don't think he ever fights to lose. He fights because he feels confident he can win and he can compete in the UFC still. I don't think he comes out here and fights to lose. Nick Diaz is going to win this fight, and I think he's going to win it by KO. Now, this didn't look great. This is him on Instagram shadowboxing. Granted, he's always had that style, and he's just playing around. I hope that's not what we're getting when it's serious. I don't believe it is. Let's look at a little more of Diaz's recent footage because there's no recent fights of him. Might as well bring up his Instagram. Robbie Lawler, a lot less active on social media. I mean, he has an Instagram, but nothing really regarding much training being posted in the past while. This was June 1st. It's a long time ago, and there's no footage. Robbie, we know what we get. And we know what we're going to get from both guys. Even though Diaz has been off a while, it's really, has he slowed down substantially? That's the only thing that significantly concerns me. I don't feel he has. I think his pressure will be there. I think his volume will be there. I think he'll get hit by big shots. He'll take them. And I think he wins. Diaz, knockout, 4th round, slight underdog status. Pretty much a pick'ems fight here. Maybe you want to place a fun little bet on Nick Diaz. Definitely think like the over 1.5 will cash for sure on this one, but it's not going to be plus money. It's pretty low on the favorite status. Nick Diaz for the W over Robbie Lawler. Sweet feature bout of the night. What do we do next, though? If Diaz wins, fantasize with me for a minute. I think Diaz, Jorge Masvidal is going to sell so well, and I think that is on the table. If he loses, this might be it. It might be over for Nick Diaz. Winning, you're looking at Masvidal. Maybe he fights out of a UFC contract somehow, signs and does some boxing. Somehow they try to get him in there against Jake Paul. I mean, the money is on the table for Nick Diaz, and I do believe it's definitely coming soon. Good fight. For Robbie, if he loses 5 in a row, probably should call it a career. We'll see. We'll see when the cage door closes this Saturday, UFC 266. Smash the hell out of that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Much love. Thank you all so much, and I will see you all in the next video.